bodies of a family of 3 and their dog found near Yosemite National Park.
National Park has been closed because of the threat of a rock slide. The National Park Service says climbers reported a new crack in the cliff near Royal Arches.
Yosemite National Park is a large expanse of wilderness spanning over 750 miles of trail, making it a perfect spot for hikers. Out of the 5 million people trooping into the park yearly, as it's the second largest in the country, something spooky is going on underground. People are going missing in the park. And no, it wasn't because they were lost. They simply disappeared into thin air without any trace. If they're still alive, where could they be in the park? Is Yosemite Park still safe to visit? Join us as we unravel this uncomfortable secret about Yosemite Park. Number 1. People are going missing in Yosemite National Park. The surprising twist about the people missing in Yosemite National Park is that they weren't newbies or babies. Though there were missing children too, most of these were full-grown adults who were not only expert hikers, but also knew the terrains of Yosemite Park like the back of their hands. So, what could have gone wrong? To further compound the issue, it wasn't like they simply veered off on their own into some abandoned alley or region. No, they were moving on well-used hiking trails that were recommended and are public paths for hiking enthusiasts. Known for having the 3rd highest number of missing people annually, the park has a track record of weird sightings, legends, and strange experiences. The park is both a source of thrill and emotional disturbance because of the hundreds of missing children that are recorded along with beautiful animals and natural sights. A retired police officer called David Paulides has gone on to publish a book titled Missing 411, Western United States and Canada, Unexplained Disappearances of North Americans that Have Never Been Solved. The book was released in 2013 after putting 4 years and 9,000 hours into investigating persons who were declared missing after he was tipped off by one of the Yosemite Park rangers. Adults and children weren't spared from the disappearances that happened at Yosemite Park. The mysterious disappearances didn't just happen at night, as one would think. They took place in broad daylight. And you know what's even more shocking? Some of the disappearances happened right in the presence of friends and family. Those close to the missing persons witnessed them going missing, and somehow they could do nothing about it. One of the strange discoveries Paulides made in his research was that the missing persons were grouped in geographical clusters, and this included children who were suddenly nowhere to be found in Yosemite National Park. During the findings of Paulides and other investigators, they discovered odd details that stunned them. Veteran investigators weren't so sure what to make of the strange data that was uncovered with each investigation. Even Paulides was left with more unanswered questions than answered questions during the course of his research. It was like the more you look, the less you actually see. Something very fishy was going on there, and Paulides and other investigators were surely going to get to the root of it. Eventually, after gathering hundreds of cases of people who went missing, unusual patterns began to pop up. A few patterns were beginning to get visible. And here they are. The ages of the children who went missing were below 10. Not only that, they showed no visible signs of struggling for their dear life. Tracking dogs that have undergone training were released to follow the children's scent and pick them out from wherever they are. Even the efforts of these dogs proved abortive, as they couldn't trace the missing kids. The few times when the dog picked up a scent, it followed the scent till it went up to a mountain. All scents picked up from the tracking dogs always led the search team to the mountain. The age of the kids isn't the problem or pattern here, as kids love playing and exploring every nook and cranny of the park, making good prey for both animal and human predators. The pattern was that the abducted kids always went missing on a mountaintop. Coupled with the fact that there was no struggle, Paulides reached a conclusion that either the abductors surprised the kids by luring them with something pleasurable, or there was no abduction in the first place. The inability of the trained tracking dogs to locate the children could easily be attributed to unfavorable weather conditions. But to be honest, the weather didn't always appear to be the type that hinders a dog's scent during the search. The real puzzle to be solved was why would kids climb a mountain before going missing? One other uncomfortable detail that was realized during the findings was that the missing persons disappeared a long way outside the designated search parameters. In an interview with KRON4 News in San Francisco, Paulides said that sometimes these kids that I write about are found, like a 2 or 3 year old, are found 15 miles from the point they were last seen, or they're found 5,000 feet higher in elevation than where they disappeared. He continued, saying that as a parent, you'll know that my kid wasn't going to make that distance in this amount of time, or climb that elevation in this period of time. So, it doesn't make sense. It neither made sense to the parents, nor made sense to Paulides. Some other survivors were usually found right in the places that were searched over and over again by huge search parties. At other times, missing children were eventually located on the opposite side of mountain ranges by search parties. It's unnatural that the children would have traveled so far in such short periods. This has left experienced outdoor enthusiasts speechless whenever they think about how little children supposedly covered such great distances in a short time. Most times, this happened under rough terrain and harsh weather conditions. This phenomenon has always defied logical reasoning and thought. So Les Stroud, fondly called the Survivor Man, tried to recreate a child's journey at night from a remarkable missing child case in Oregon. After trying so hard to simulate the kid's journey, Les Stroud finally gave up and said he couldn't do this. This wasn't right, and that the kid couldn't do this on his own. Another baffling thing that was recorded was that the rescued children told tales of wolves and friendly bears who took care of them when they went missing. Though some people are suspicious of such paranormal tales told by the children, it doesn't rule out the fact that these were narrated by first-hand victims, and these cases can make you second-guess going out to a park. Since Paulides' findings went public, petitions have risen from most quarters urging parks to implement better systems to track missing persons because they can't continue this way. These petitions didn't change anything, as cases of missing people are still rampant in Yosemite National Park. Let's take a look at the people who were either abducted or missing at the park. Number 2. Joel Thomasson, 31, went missing. On September 6, 2021, Joel Thomasson reportedly told friends and family that he would be going on a 3-day solo hike on September 6, 2021. He planned to start hiking on his first day at Yosemite Park in Hetch Hetchy, go fishing in the Lake Eleanor area, and then come back home on September 9, 2021. So he took along a kayak to explore the Lake Eleanor area and a hammock to relax during his stay at the national park. He loaded his kayak in a big red pouch that was glued to the outer part of his backpack. One of the park rangers reported seeing him on the first day of his hiking expedition, close to a steep area at O'Shaughnessy Dam. The trip was supposed to be both an adventurous and soothing one for him, until the unexpected happened. Thomasson failed to reach out to his family and friends after a couple of days. Quickly, search helicopters, water patrols, search dogs, and park rangers were deployed to the scene. Those at the Turlock Journal believe that he might have decided to stay out longer and stretch his journey toward a farther destination called Cherry Lake. But if that's true, he would have surely informed his family. So why didn't he contact his family? And that was how Joel Thomasson wasn't found to date. A memorial ceremony aimed to honor and immortalize the hiker in the heart of his loved ones was held in November 2018 in his hometown in Dare, California. What's even more painful was that Thomasson had a wife and a 2-year-old son whom he left behind. When he disappeared, the whole county of Tuolumne joined in searching for him, and they didn't come empty-handed. They brought a kayak, a boat, and other equipment to track him down by deducing the perimeter of where he was last sighted. All they did to trace him failed, and to this day, there is no hope of finding him. Having resigned to their fate, the family of Joel Thomasson concluded that he must have died while hiking in Yosemite National Park, so they arranged a memorial planning service in Turlock, which was held on December 4th. Thomasson's family is now raising a GoFundMe to cater for his wife and 2-year-old boy. There was a post on his GoFundMe page that read that though it's unlikely that he's alive, without proof of his whereabouts, Joel is considered a missing person. In the state of California, it can take 5 years to get a death certificate for a missing person, which means that his wife, Amanda, can't collect all the things normally available to help bridge the gap, such as Joel's life insurance, Social Security, and others. Could it be that he was not really missing, but was murdered, kidnapped, or forcefully taken against his wish? Or maybe he left this earthly realm more mildly, like falling off a cliff. We'll only have the answers to these hypothetical questions when he's found. Until then, Outdoor caravans and trained search professionals will continue scouting for any evidence of his whereabouts. It is quite confusing that Joel can disappear without a trace when the trail that he followed from Hetch Hetchy to Lake Eleanor was among the recommended and safe paths in Yosemite National Park. As a matter of fact, the tracks found in this park are populated with people coming and going as they explore all the sights and wonders the national park brings. So there's all likelihood that Joel wasn't completely alone when he vanished out of sight, nor did he just stumble into the deep woods all alone because he told his family and friends his location. In all probability, people were either near or present to have witnessed what really happened. Number 3. Sandra Johnson Hughes, 54, went missing on July 4, 2020. Sandra Johnson Hughes went solo camping in Sierra National Forest on July 4, 2020, when she crashed her vehicle. Onlookers repeatedly tried to help by giving her a ride, but she refused all forms of help. She was seen walking away from her car crash around the Chiquito Pass trailhead. Reported by federal officials to be 5 foot 3 inches tall, 54 years old, weighing 150 pounds with brown eyes and brown hair, she suddenly went missing after leaving the site of her car accident. Her sleeping bag, which matched her latest REI purchase, was later found off-trail, around 2.5 miles north of her car crash. Both her sleeping bag and her campsite were said to have been abandoned. Number 4. George Penka, 30, went missing on June 17, 2011. George Penka went hiking in Yosemite National Park with his fellow church members and was found missing on the same day he entered the park on June 17, 2011. According to reports by his church members, he separated himself from the group and was last seen at the very top of the upper Yosemite Falls. Standing at 5 foot 10 inches and weighing 240 pounds with brown hair and blue eyes, the last photo taken of him at the park saw him wearing a black t-shirt and gray sweatpants with a side strip that moved down his leg. Number 5. Peter Jackson, 74, went missing on September 17, 2016. Peter Jackson texted his son that he was going to take a hike at Yosemite Park on September 17, 2016. Little did he know that he wouldn't return to his dear son after that ill-fated hike. After the text, nobody knew the direction he was headed or where he must have hiked. He had fully paid for his site at Yosemite Park until September 21, 2016. After much searching for his missing body, his car was recovered at the White Wolf campground. Peter Jackson had a slender frame, weighing 155 pounds, with a height of 5 foot 10 inches. He had no medical condition and was in perfectly good health before his disappearance. His backpack was later found between Aspen Valley and Smith Peak in 2019. Number 6. Stacy Ann Aris, 14, went missing on July 17, 1981. Stacy arrived at Yosemite Park with her father for a camping trip that was supposed to last 4 days. She came on July 17, 1981, and after riding mules that headed to Sunrise High Sierra Camp with a group of 10 campers, she felt like taking a short hike to Sunrise Lakes. Without her father, whom she came with, she left for Sunrise Lakes with a 77-year-old man who was in the group of 10 campers. They got to a point in their journey, and the old man ran out of gas, stopping to rest. So, Stacy kept walking alone. She walked on until she was seen no more. Standing at around 5 foot 5 inches and weighing 120 pounds, Stacy had blonde hair and was last seen leaving the camp with a white windbreaker, gray hiking boots, and maroon and white striped shorts. Number 7. David Paul Morrison, 28, went missing on May 25, 1998. David Paul Morrison left Yosemite National Park to hike in Half Dome on May 25, 1998, and he hasn't returned to date. He started early in the morning and went missing, without a single trace or evidence that he was ever at Yosemite Park. He stood at 5 foot 9 inches and weighed 150 pounds. He had brown eyes and brown hair, and was last seen putting on a gray UCSC sweatshirt, a fanny pack, and black pants. Number 8. Dikran Knadijan, 20, went missing on July 24, 1972. Knadijan was a medical student at Cambridge University in England. He had a summer break and decided to head to Yosemite Park on July 24, 1972. He entered the park and was last spotted in Curry Village asking for directions to the Half Dome from a Yosemite Park employee. He's 5 foot 11 inches tall and weighs 180 pounds. He also had brown hair and brown eyes and was last seen clutching his Pentax 35mm camera. Number 9. Timothy John Barnes, 25, went missing on July 5, 1988. Timothy planned to hike at Yosemite National Park for only one day. He arrived on July 5, 1988, and vanished from the environment that same day. He was last seen strolling at the Murphy Creek trailhead at 9 a.m. He's a 6 foot 3 inches tall young man and weighs 180 pounds. He had black hair and sprouted a mustache. Witnesses last saw him wearing a white t-shirt with the letter F inscribed on it, along with gray sweatpants and tennis shoes. He also carried with him a yellow day pack. Number 10. Kieran Burke, 45, went missing on April 6, 2000. Kieran visited Yosemite Park from Dublin, Ireland on April 6, 2000, without knowing that he wouldn't make it out alive. Immediately he arrived, he set out on his hiking trip. Many hours passed before one of the Yosemite Park's staff noticed that Kieran hadn't checked out of his lodging. His disappearance is even more baffling than the rest because his family attested to the fact that he's an experienced hiker. So what could have made him disappear or lose his way? He was last spotted at Curry Village, where he planned to go on a solo hike. He stood at 6 feet and weighed 180 pounds. He also had black hair and a pair of blue eyes. Number 11. Walter H. Reinhard, 66, went missing on September 19, 2002. The elderly Reinhard went for a hiking expedition at Yosemite Park on September 19, 2002, and decided to start his hike at the White Wolf Trailhead. A few weeks later, his car was found at the trailhead, as he had apparently disappeared like the others. He was about 5 foot 8 inches tall and weighed about 145 pounds. One of his distinct physical features was the fine shade of gray hair that covered his head. Though he always visited Yosemite Park with his fanny pack, no one knows for sure what he wore on the day he went missing. Number 12. Ruth Ann Ruppert, 49, went missing on August 14, 2000. Ruth Ann previously planned to make a backpacking trip to Yosemite Park on August 14, 2000, but she had an infection that ruined her plans, so she had to make an emergency delay to the park. It would seem that she could later make it to the park, as passers-by reported seeing her at either Curry Village or Yosemite Medical Clinic going on a day's hike from Yosemite Falls to Foresta. That was the last time anyone ever saw her. Her backpack was later retrieved along the Fireplace Creek in 2018. Ruth Ann was around 5 foot 5 inches tall and weighed 140 pounds. She had brown hair and brown eyes, though one of her eyes was prosthetic. Number 13. Michael Feisery, 51, went missing. On June 21, 2005, Michael visited Yosemite so he could go hiking in Tiltil Valley. He arrived at the park on June 21, 2005, and went missing on the same day. He couldn't even stay for as long as he wanted before he suffered the same fate as other missing people. He was a decent 5 foot 10 inches and weighed around 165 pounds. He had blonde hair that fell to his shoulders. The last time he was seen, he was wearing a blue t-shirt that was faded, with shorts that witnesses described as either khaki or olive in color, along with glasses to match. Number 14. The Curse of the Tenaya Canyon. A long time ago, when white wanderers settled in Yosemite Park, they met a peaceful and quiet tribe of Native Americans, popularly referred to as the Ahwahnee. These peaceful and goodly Ahwahnee people had a reputation for stealing livestock from their new neighbors. After a while of cohabiting with this tribe, it turned out they weren't as peaceful as they first seemed. Soon enough, the white settlers had enough of cohabiting with these burdensome and troublesome natives in the 1850s. So the whites came up with a plan to relocate all Ahwahnees to a reservation located in Fresno, California. However, the Ahwahnee natives led by Chief Tenaya refused to heed the whites' plan. Contrary to what the white people expected, the Ahwahnee vocally and physically resisted the order to evacuate their land. Left with no choice but to forcefully demand obedience, the white settlers quickly sent in a band of armed men, led by Captain John Bowling, to disperse the tribe from their land. The Ahwahnee tribe reacted in a manner that shocked the white settlers. The whites expected the Ahwahnee natives to recoil in fear, since they were usually compliant and obedient before now. But instead, the Ahwahnee tribe bravely stood their ground and went toe-to-toe with the soldiers in an all-out battle for their land. As the war raged on, the son of Chief Tenaya died amidst the violence. Seeing his son fall in battle sent him into a state of frenzied wrath. He was said to have stood in the Tenaya Canyon and invoked a curse against the white man from the bitterness of his heart. Since then, weird accidents, strange disappearances, and deaths have continuously befell white people in Tenaya Canyon and the Yosemite Valley. People have also claimed to hear fearful noises and seen strange apparitions of passing shadows in Yosemite Park. A higher number of fatal accidents from rock climbing and hiking has been reported coming from Tenaya Canyon than accidents coming from other regions of Yosemite Park. Disappearances have been so rampant in this area that people now tag it as the Bermuda Triangle. It wasn't only regular people who fell victim to the alleged Bermuda Triangle in Yosemite Park. Experienced mountaineer and naturalist John Moo managed to escape from this rumored curse as he was almost killed while traversing the canyon in 1873. The Tenaya Canyon has a reputation for being the most dangerous and hostile in the entire park. People are more likely to go missing there than in other places in the park. Many people have even made a mental note to themselves to mark that region as a forbidden and no-go area. And it's quite understandable, as there have been so many deaths and disappearances found there. The cursed status of the Tenaya Canyon is quite arguable. But what cannot be argued is the effect of that curse that's happening right before our eyes. As if cementing the reality of the curse on Tenaya Canyon, people have identified a number of haunted locations in and around the park. Spooky, right? The foremost haunted place in Yosemite Park is the Ahwahnee Hotel. The hotel was strangely named after the extinct tribe. Opened as far back as 1927, it was just a little distance from Half Dome and was considered one of the trendiest hotels at that time. Rightfully so, because it was erected as a luxurious hotel right in the middle of a territory known for its small guest houses and camps. Compared to what was obtainable at that time, the Ahwahnee Hotel exuded a majestic and royal feel to onlookers who itched to lodge in there, even if it was for a night only. The beautiful scenery of its surroundings quickly turned it into one of the hottest tourist destinations of its time. Every year, people from around the world troop in for a vacation to experience the aesthetic beauty and relaxation this hotel provides. In the midst of all that beauty, it still gained a fearful reputation for being a haunted ground. Number 15. Paranormal stories from the haunted Ahwahnee Hotel. Walking around the hotel, there's no indication of any sort that it could be haunted. That's because it automatically gives you a luxurious feel as you stroll through its walls and admire the serenity of the landscape. You'll continue to feel this way until you hear the paranormal stories locked up in this beautiful edifice. One such story is the death of Mary Curry Tressiter in 1970. She passed away on the hotel's 6th floor where she lived for a while. As soon as she died, people who lodged in the 6th floor started noticing strange movements and shadows that point to the fact that her spirit still hangs around. Guests who slept in the room where Mary died admitted that they were tucked in at night by a mysterious entity that they couldn't see. Staff and guests alike have reported seeing clothes being folded on their own. Apparently, Mary seems to be a friendly spirit who wouldn't stop at taking care of guests visiting her former home. Then there's this famous story of John F. Kennedy. The former president once stayed on the 3rd floor of the hotel in 1962. Having persistent back pain, he requested for a rocking chair. The chair was removed when he took his leave from the hotel. After his death, the chair strangely located its way back to the room he lodged in, and staff confessed in fright that there was indeed a rocking chair on the 3rd floor that moved on its own. How much more scary can it get? Thanks for watching to the end to find out what transpired in Yosemite National Park. These stories can never leave the park the same. Hit the like button, and don't forget to subscribe for more interesting videos.